Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a beautiful 20th of July, 2021. Coming up in this episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast, episode 143, The Lurking Agenda of Government Censorship, Protecting Us from Reality or Protecting Their Feelings, plus other honorable mentions from some stupid Canadians out there. All that and more coming up to the show. Please stick around, and listener and viewer discretion is advised. Stay tuned.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
Mama always said I had a face for radio.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Crusty Canuck podcast, episode 143 of The Lurking Agendas. Yes, our federal government once again is pondering more censorship issues. Based on some articles I will read to you directly from Spencer Fernando and the Western Standard Online, there are still lots of people out there that would like to make censorship a factual thing in this country. Yes, from Stephen Gilbert, Mr. Heritage Minister, to other members of the said party, to Justin Trudeau, and to an RCMP official. Interesting enough. Now, after all the crap that has been going on in recent months in this country in regards to finding some truth and reconciliation to residential schooling, and to finding people that are getting censored by big tech and other companies, and our friends in the States, i.e. Joe Biden, and of course his press secretary, Ms. Psaki, talking about how big tech should take more responsibility in harnessing the problematic effects of people posting stuff online. Okay. Before I carry on, ladies and gentlemen, if you like and hear what you see, by all means, click like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And click your notification bell there on the tube. That's if you're not shadow banned already. So that way you get updated on new content coming at you from the Crusty Canuck podcast. Anyway, carrying on, we got more information in regards to censorship. And I'll read a little article that came from Spencer Fernando, Canadian independent journalist, quite brilliant. I've seen his interviews a few times, and I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to follow along there. But this clown here, cue up my page here again. Pardon my delay, folks. This clown here, Mr. Stephen Guilbeault, Heritage Minister of Canada. And based on an article from Spencer Fernando, which he wrote there on the 17th, title is, With a Plan to Regulate Lawful but Offensive Tweets, Liberals Continue Moving Closer to Communist-Style State Censorship. Yeah, fun times, eh? He's quoted, "A truth doesn't mind being questioned. A lie doesn't like being challenged." The above quote can be applied to many things, but particularly to how governments treat speech. In a truly free and democratic country, governments seek to defend freedom of speech because they know that free speech makes societies more creative, more innovative, and makes it easier for citizens to hold the government to account. And truly great leaders want to be accountable and want to empower the people rather than simply having power over them. Okay? By contrast, authoritarian states, whether communist or fascist, seek to destroy freedom of speech. They build their power on lies and deception, and thus fear the public, because the public would turn against them if they knew the truth. Interesting how that's going on, folks. Interesting how that's going on today as we speak, when it comes to inoculations, when it comes to vaccines, to businesses, to people protesting, freedom rallies, all that good stuff, and how a lot of the authorities have cracked the old notion of whip of fines, fees, regulations, and jail time for some. As a result, communist and fascist states suppress speech using the power of government to narrow the bounds of allowed speech. Allowed speech, mind you. Yeah, allowed. Can't say that here. That's too offensive. Oh, goodness. Using legislation to make it more and more speech criminal and attempting to create a climate of fear that keeps people from speaking their minds. Okay. Basically, the more a government has to hide and the more contempt they have for the public, the more they seek to suppress freedom of speech. Go figure. Look what's going on with C10, C36. Now, a lot of this, you can very well say, started with M103, the motion to stop Islamophobia, right? Because, the word phobia is basically a fear of something, an unreasonable fear. We know this. I don't have an unreasonable fear towards Islam. I don't have an unreasonable fear towards Christianity. Neither should you. I don't think any sane person that works in this country, that lives in this country, that does their share of whatever, okay, has no real unreasonable fear towards a religion, any religion for that matter. But I'll carry on. Pravda, the magazine Pravda. Okay. In the Soviet Union, they called their main propaganda newspaper Pravda, which meant truth, quote unquote. There was a joke told by the Soviet citizens about Pravda and the other state newspaper, Izvestia. In Pravda, truth, there are no news. There is no news. Sorry. In Izvestia, news, there is no truth, said Pravda. So back and forth, right? Like a bad tennis match. People in the Soviet Union knew they were being lied to, and the government knew that the people knew they were lying to them. But it did matter because one of the first things the Bolsheviks did upon seizing power is to eliminate all potential media opposition. Right? Yeah, and established a propaganda monopoly. So why do you think JT and his cronies gave $600 million to certain media conglomerates, i.e. CBC, Toronto Star, certain radio groups, certain broadcast groups? The list goes on. Okay. Of course, the fascists in Germany did the same thing, as did the fascists in Italy at the time, right? The first big move of authoritarian states after seizing power is to create a unified and unchallenged propaganda machine. And that means either the outright physical destruction of any opposition media or laws that heavily restrict potential opposition. Okay. Now, last time I checked in our Constitution, freedom of expression was fundamental. And that includes freedom of speech. That includes expression, how we express ourselves. Okay. And this approach remains a staple of communist regimes to this day, as we see in places like Cuba and particularly China, where the communists have established a propaganda surveillance machine that is ripped right from the pages of George Orwell's 1984 dystopia. Quote unquote, lawful but harmful. And this brings us to a recent report by Blacklocks, and Blacklocks is an independent media conglomerate. You got to pay for stories, but they've got some pretty good stories there. So I highly suggest if you get a chance, ladies and gentlemen, look into Blacklocks Reporter. Fantastic work. And it brings us to attention by a Blacklocks reporter on how the Liberals plan to try and control tweets that are lawful but harmful. Oh, don't say bad words. And this is a quote that came from the Canadian Heritage Minister himself from Twitter. Okay, brace yourself. Okay, Twitter posts are undermining Canada's democracy, says Department of Canadian Heritage. Briefing note says regulation of unlawful but hurtful comments is needed for a quote unquote a truly democratic debate. Okay, now that came from Stephen Gobert's office. Okay, how is something you post on Twitter via your cell phone, just a little blurb, undermining democracy? Honestly, I ask yourself that question, ladies and gentlemen. Ask yourself that question. How are what you're going to type and say on any format is going to undermine the value of democracy? Well, it's true they say, crack don't smoke itself. Right?
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Anyway, carrying on again with the lurking agenda. Yes, the story goes on. The story notes that lawful but offensive Twitter posts are undermining Canada's democracy. Heritage Minister Stephen Guilbeault's department says in a briefing note, regulation of hurtful comments is needed for a truly democratic debate. So we have to regulate what you say in order to make a debate more legitimate. Is that the logic? Okay, we have to monitor what you say to make something a little more democratic. What the hell is that? Okay. Well, it may sound innocuous. Lawful but offensive and lawful but hurtful is very disturbing distinction for the government to be making. The entire point of having law is that it represents a clear demarcation line, okay? That's the thing. In instances of direct threats to someone's life or advocating for violence or terrorism, that kind of speech is against the law, and the government takes action. Well, rightfully so. If you threaten to kill somebody, or you want to harm a certain group of people, or a group that belongs to a certain ideology, yes, I can see where, warning bells might go off. Okay. But in all other instances where laws are not being broken, that kind of speech is not at all in the realm of what government should be concerned with. Exactly. Okay. Why does the federal government need to know what I'm saying, what you're saying, what you believe in, what you do, where you pee, where you wipe your bottom, who you sleep with? It's nobody's fucking concern. Okay. Pardon my F-bomb there. Okay. In a free society, government has zero interest in any speech that is lawful. Lawful speech is up to the individuals to support or oppose in however the way they choose. And government is supposed to stay completely out of it. Exactly. So when we see a government that plans to regulate lawful but hurtful speech, you can be certain that they are attacking the idea of free expression itself. Okay. Dangerously subjective it is. A threat against someone's life or advocating for violence and terrorism are objective things. Okay. You can clearly read words that make it obvious someone is planning to do to you or someone else and actually physically harm them. Okay. The law is already well equipped to deal with such threats, and such threats are already illegal. We know this. That's the thing. By contrast, the idea of hurtful or offensive is deeply subjective. Exactly. How many people have actually weighed in and sent me some nasty emails saying they were offended by what I said about certain trans individuals, i.e. Jonathan Yaniv? I find that man offensive. And yes, he is a biological male, regardless of how you dress him up or not. Okay. And I've had a few people who happen to be trans weigh in and say I'm nothing but a dirty old white man. That comment was offensive, but am I going to cry in my oatmeal because of that? Oh, no. They call me a dirty white old man. Oh, yeah, whatever. Fuck. No. And that's the thing. Something may seem hurtful to you while being hilarious to me, and vice versa. I just made that point, right? The entire idea of free speech and free expression is that the individual Canadians are supposed to decide what we like and what we don't like. We can consume more content we like and less we dislike, all based on our own choices. That is freedom, folks. Straight and narrow. That is democracy. That is a democratic debate right there. You, the viewer, you, the consumer. Okay, you, the purchaser, you, the buyee, you, the seller, you, the employer, employee, the worker, the doctor, the nurse, the lawyer, the professional mud wrestler. I don't care. You have that choice. Okay, for the Liberal government to now be declaring that free exchange of ideas undermines democratic debate is a communist-style doublethink argument that presages an attack on free expression, an attack already underway with the Liberals having pushed Bill C-10 and Bills C-36. Okay. Basically, it's communist style censorship. Things have reached the point where they really have to start calling this what it is. And let's call it what it is, folks. Basic censorship, dictatorship. How else do we dress it up? Honestly, neo-communism, whatever. Okay. Rather than defending the Western democratic values of free speech and free expression, the Liberals are pushing a communist style censorship agenda that would destroy one of Canada's strengths, the free exchange of ideas. And every democracy, regardless of how you dress it up. And I'll begin to a story there later in the show about some RCMP corporal that says we don't have freedom of speech, but I'll get to that, okay? Right? They are doing so by using the boiling the frog strategy, right? Where they don't take away freedom of expression all at once, but every little thing they do further undermines it until we reach the point when people are shocked how much freedom they've lost without truly realizing it until it's too late, of course. Considering how the Liberals first boosted funding for the CBC, of course, you know, the government paid sponsor, whatever, then bailed out newspapers, then expanded government funding to private media, and then expanded government ad spending, shunned and even arrested independent media journalists in 2019 election, imposed taxes on streaming services, introduced Bill C-10, Bill C-36, which they will introduce if they do get back into power, of course, honestly. So let's say the Liberals win their next election, they will introduce it and probably push the Senate to get it done, right? And now they are planning to further impose centralized government control over content they deem or admit to as being illegal. Okay. So this is basically a communist style censorship agenda in slow motion. And that's why we must continue our fight against with it with all of our strength. And he's right. Well said, Mr. Spencer Fernando. And I'll leave a link to that story in the description for you all to read and share around, please. And like I say, ladies and gentlemen, if you do like what and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, and share this all around all your media platforms to help the algorithm out. Help us young guys. Well, not so young guys. Help us newer guys, independent folk, get the word out there too. And you can also find my podcast on Rumble, Brighton, and Wimkin too. Those are 3 other platforms I put the podcast on. So in case I'm shadow banned even further on the tube, you can find me on Rumble and Brighton and Wimkin as well. So please look at the bottom of your screen there. Look at the little red headline. You'll find me there too. And if you do want to donate, please, ladies and gentlemen, consider donating as well. And a special thank you to everyone who came out on Sunday Fastball or Fastball Sunday. Myself and Al had a great conversation on everything political and social and all that good stuff. And that still stays true, ladies and gentlemen. I still will be doing the Fastball Sunday every Sunday until further notice. Be myself, El Sofia Rossetti, Adam Danny Mezei, and Fred Stockman, and other guests too, once they decide to come on and join the show. Basically, it's just a political panel. We talk about politics. We talk about the social spectrum, economic spectrums, and freedom as we see it. We come from all walks of life. Adam is a trained actor, successful actor, enthusiast, avid reader. He's a historian. He comes from a very, very diverse background. He's well-traveled. El Sofia Rossetti, a trans female. Well, she's a female now. She's gone through some insurmountable odds to be where she's at today, but she's very successful, well-read. She's a truther. And Fred Stockman, a young American historian out of Massachusetts, Kiwi American, New Zealander, born and bred, lives in America. Is quite the tradesman and quite the effective understanding young man. So please tune into our show, Fastball Sunday, every Sunday here on Facebook and YouTube and on Twitch, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's every Sunday. So please tune into that. Anyway, carrying on, more of this censorship garbage and more of this political conundrum that we're facing today. It's amazing how the minority government is scrambling and trying to get brownie points, meanwhile trying to stick it up our nostrils.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
Anyway, carrying on to a story that came out of the Western Standard. Now I'll leave a link in the description for you too. Western Standard, it's a pay-as-you-go website, but it's a media outlet out from out here in Alberta. Anyway, this came in today, actually, about 2 hours ago. So I just printed it off there. And like I say, I'll leave the link in the description for you guys to follow and read along there too if you want to. From the Western Standard, on recent news, the RCMP applauds censorship bill will help in prosecutions. Quote unquote, it may not seem like a massive development in terms of dealing with the scope of everything that's been talked about, but it will equip a law enforcement to see more things through to charges in this country. And this is a quote from the RCMP Corporal Anthony Statham. Alrighty, so I'll read along here, An internet censorship bill would be useful in prosecuting bloggers and Facebook subscribers. An RCMP specialist said Monday night, Bill C-36 will see more things through to charges, a webinar was told. Law enforcement has to have the ability to use the law effectively, said Corporal Anthony Statham of the RCMP's British Columbia hate crimes team. Statham complained Parliament did not define what hatred is when it outlawed hate speech in 1970. Okay. Bill C-36, an act to amend the criminal code, threatens house arrest or $70,000 fines for any internet publisher, blogger, or social media user suspected of posting hateful content without incitement of any crime. Okay. Cabinet introduced the bill June 23rd, just minutes before Parliament adjourned for a 3-month recess. Okay. So there it says right there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. It threatens to house arrest or $70,000 in fines for any internet publisher, blogger, or social media user suspected of posting hateful content without incitement of any crime. Okay, so I don't like taxes in this country. I don't like it when politicians are elected and take money and give it away to others. I hate bitter cold. I hate super hot days. Am I committing a crime? But I guess according to this, I can still be fined for saying such hateful things. Oh, how dare you, Crusty Canuck? Oh my goodness, how dare you? Yeah, and just before, Parliament left for the summer, right? In Canada, we don't have anything regulating speech, said Statham. Under Section 2 of our Charter of Rights and Freedom of Expression is protected. So there's no such thing as free speech in Canada, only freedom of expression. Okay, Corporal. How do you think freedom of expression What does that mean? What does freedom of expression mean? No, there's no actual terminology of freedom of speech. No, of course not. No. Freedom of expression. That includes speech, dumbass. Okay. Speaking in a webinar sponsored by the federally funded Canadian Anti-Hate Network, Statham noted that the current Section 319 of the Criminal Code forbids public incitement of hatred by communicating statements in any public place that incite hatred against any identifiable group. The term hatred is not defined. Well, of course, okay? We all know if you go to any kind of rally that promotes any kind of color of skin or any kind of identity, yes, it can incite hatred. We understand this. We understand the basics, Corporal. Do you not get that fucking gist? Pardon my swearing again, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Fuck. The government is now proposing to add a definition of hatred under this section of the code, said Statham. Now, it may come to a surprise to many Canadians, just in general, the fact we have this section that deals with promoting hatred, but we haven't actually defined what hatred is. So I tell you what, how about you define what hatred is first before you start telling me and other people what is hateful, what isn't hateful. Okay. I mentioned this before. If someone comes up to you and say, I hate your guts because of your hat or your eye color or your stance, would that be deemed as hateful? And that person should be fined 70 grand or more for that? Like, do you not see the volume of the consequences you're promoting here? Holy shit. Wow. So Bill C-36 would define hatred as the emotion that involves detestation or vilification, and that is stronger than dislike or disdain. The amendment will lead to more charges, said Statement. Well, if somebody hates a situation and they say it in public, would that be deemed offensive too? Like, fuck. Holy cow. I think the proposal is to do a very good thing, he said. Oh, a very good thing. Yes, to make people walk the line for you, Corporal. Okay. It may not seem like a massive development in terms of dealing with the scope of everything that's been talked about here today, but it will equip law enforcement to see more things through to charges in this country. This needs to be revisited, he said. An amendment to this section of the code, I believe, will have a positive effect as far as our ability to do something about online hate when something needs to be done. Bill C-36 would make it a discriminatory practice to communicate or cause to be communicated hate speech by means of the internet and other means of telecommunications in a context which the hate speech is likely to foment detestation or vilification of an individual group or individuals on the basis of prohibited ground of discrimination. Internet users suspected of vilification would be subject to house arrest on reasonable grounds, quote unquote, on reasonable grounds. Fuck. Regardless of whether a crime occurred. Facebook content that discredits, humiliates, hurts, or offends would be exempt. Oh, okay. So you can say something insulting, but then somebody in that little group might be offended and threaten hate speech against you, and then all of a sudden you're under house arrest. I don't know. Did you folks get it? Let me know. The Department of Justice, as in a June 23rd backgrounder document, said the measures would apply to public communications by individual users on the internet, including on social media, on personal websites, and in mass emails, blog posts, online news sites, operators of websites that primarily publish their own content, and user comment sections. Okay. So basically, they're going to decide what you put online, because what I got out of that article, ladies and gentlemen, what I received out of this article was they have no idea what they're talking about, but they're just going to do their best and try to filter out all the bad words that people see every day. Now, for one, I'm against bullying. I'm against cyberbullying. I'm against, people being cruel and mean and whatever too. But in my history with the Crusty Canuck podcast, I have never said anything spiteful towards anyone's gender, anyone's color, anyone's identity. Okay. Now, I've questioned certain identities because this whole transgender thing is to me, it's just one big mess. Okay. Now, I'm not condemning anybody out there that's transitioning or who has transitioned. And there's a couple of people that can back me up on that. Okay. What I do condemn is the stupidity and the fake science and the fake reports that go into things just to justify a freaking narrative. Like I say in my bio on crustycanuck.ca, don't try to tell me that the sun is the moon and the moon is the sun. You see what I mean?
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And furthermore, okay, I'm holding up 4 fingers. 4 fingers. Look at that. Ooh, interesting, right? Oh, yeah. Or is it 3 fingers? Which is it? Right? Gives you something to think about now, doesn't it? So after reading that article, and here's a corporal in the RCMP. So let's assume this individual has been part of the mounted police for the better part of 10 to 15 years, or maybe more. Okay. Individuals like that are going to dictate terms to you and me. Okay. This person's not elected. This person does not represent, okay, a certain party or democracy. He represents law enforcement. Okay. And I'm a firm believer that if someone types anti-Semitic things or anti-Christian things or anti-Muslim things or racial things, whatever, fine. A person should be prosecuted to a certain degree. But freedom of expression is, as far as I'm concerned, is the same as free speech. Okay. It's the same as free speech, the exact same thing. You are allowed to express yourself freely, opinion on religion, on anything, right? Would it suit the powers to be better if I did it through interpretive dance, perhaps? Shall I gallivant around like some kind of beanie top, put on a pride flag and call it a day? Would that be more acceptable? Right? So we've gone to a point where people cannot be people anymore. We have to fit in a category. Okay? We have to fit in a certain specific group all the time. Did we not try to grow to that fucking phase in high school and in part of our college educations? Okay. Did we not grow out of that mandate, that mantra? Did we not? No, of course not. We still have to sit in our hands and wait for Mr. Overlords to tell us how to do, how to poo, how to think, right? It gives you something to think about, right? And it keeps lingering. It keeps lurking. It keeps peeking its little heads around the corner, taking its little look at you, thinking, oh, okay. Now we'll get you here. We get you there because it's all about control. Okay. Look at the government spending that this government has promoted. Look at the government divisions. Look at the divisions that these governments have promoted the past 6 years. Okay. Now, I don't like Stephen Gilbert. I don't like Justin Trudeau. I don't like Chrystia Freeland. I don't like Catherine McKenna. I think they're all full of crap. Honestly, I don't wish any physical harm on them. I would love to see them humiliated. Is that hate speech, RCMP? Hey, is that hate speech, Corporal Statham? Hey, is that hateful? Is that hateful content? Is it hateful for me to say that? I have no respect for our government officials in this country. I'm losing a lot of respect for it. Okay, because they're paid a very, very good dollar. And they have lots of perks and privileges because of their positions. And what have they done to earn said positions? What have they done to kept said positions? Absolutely nothing other than virtue. Tossing a wet rag into the wind, hoping for the best, right? What are they promoting? What have they promoted other than division, political strife, fear, right? If anyone should be censored, they should be censored, right? Something to think about, folks. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, too, please check out my shop at customizedgirl.com/s/Crusty Canuck and get yourself some Crusty Canuck swagger there. Use the code ZZSS to give yourself 10% off of any of your purchases. And ladies and gentlemen, too, if you do click the link and you have some trouble, please give me an email, crustybcanuck67@gmail.com. Right? And I'll send you the other link there too. There's been some trouble with the links there. I've had a couple of customers try to purchase some t-shirts and they had some trouble doing that. But if you have any issues, contact me via the email at the bottom of your screen there, and we'll get that sorted out right away for you. I'm playing email tag with Customized Girls there. They've said there's nothing wrong on their end, nothing wrong on my end, but maybe just neglect, maybe being hacked or shadow banned. I don't know. But if you want some Crusty Canuck swagger, I've got t-shirts, I got hats, I got mugs, I've got shorts, I got tank tops, I got stickers, I got magnets, and I also have some swimsuits out there for the ladies. So if you want to bring out your inner Baywatch this summer, while we still can, grab yourself some Crusty Canuck swagger, 10% off. Use the code ZZSS and give yourself 10% off today. Valid until the end of July. So you got another 11 days, ladies and gentlemen. Save 10% on some Crusty Canuck swagger. So check that out. Anyway, moving on too. Like I say, you can also follow the Crusty Canuck podcast on Rumble, Brighton, and Wimkin too. I'm also setting some other accounts on Odyssey and sorting some Gab stuff out there too. But you can also find me in Signal and Telegram and the usual channels as well as YouTube and Facebook. And pay attention to my community page on YouTube and my Facebook page for updates as we speak. We carry on more censorship too. Now, I understand the basic principles when it comes to being tactful and being polite and being rude and being belligerent and all that. But I'm also finding too, there's more and more people losing their jobs, i.e. like yours truly, because of opinions. People are losing face. People are losing subscribers. People are losing sales. People are losing their job because of opinions. Okay. There's a big stink going on in the States now with Black Rifle Coffee Company. Apparently they said something to this group of people and that group of people didn't like it and vice versa. I'm not going to get into it because I know it's a veteran owned and operated business. I have nothing against Black Rifle Coffee Company whatsoever. They've made a good product. They've had some great sales, and it was a company built by veterans, people that have actually gone through some nasty, chaotic shit. And I never read anything that was terrible, seen anything terrible about them too. So regardless of how you feel about Black Rifle Coffee Company, that's you as a consumer. You decide what you want to do. I don't think they've done anything wrong per se. I don't know if they've catered to a certain woke mob or that's a rumor or speculation. Needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, think for yourself. That's what it comes down to. Excuse me. Sorry, some bad gas there today. But think for yourself. Buy what you want, do what you want. That's what it comes down to. Classical liberalism at its finest. Live and let live. I don't care if this guy is transitioning. I don't care if this girl is gay. I don't care if this little boy is coming out of the closet. I don't care. What I care about is that people can live freely in a democratic state without worrying about any kind of persecution or prosecution for words. Okay? For words. Now, if some stupid redneck twanker wants to sit there and point fingers at people who happen to be black or happen to be brown or represent this group or that group, and he or she wants to say ridiculous and heinous things, fine. Then find a person for doing that, whatever, for being that kind of belligerent and being that bigoted. Okay? But for what you and I do here online, to the viewer, to the consumer, to the other bloggers, to other podcasters and presenters and citizen journalists alike, we still got to keep fighting a good fight, period. Okay? There's no need to censor anybody. There's no need to do it. Okay? Like I remember my basic media studies back in high school. If you don't like something, turn the page. If you don't like a song, turn off the radio or turn off the tape player or the record player or the CD player. You don't like a movie, don't go and see it. You don't like a concert, don't go to the show. That's simple. But I guess we've lost that perspective, right? I guess we can't do that anymore because everything has to be made comfortable 24/7. Right? You know, when the hell did comfort become a right? Honestly, when did it become a right?
Join the Liberal Party of Canada. We'll tell you what to think, what to do, how to wipe, how to pick your nose, all in the name of safety.
And that gets you going too, right? Here we're supposed to elect these officials to protect our nation, to protect our country, protect our economy, our way of life, okay, to make sure that, you know, businesses are still open. But look what the beer bug has caused, okay? Now, a lot of things are opened up now. I get it, okay? There's a little more liberties, more freedoms too. But then there's speculation of the so-called fourth wave, okay? And what is this fourth wave going to do now too? Because of these new variants, okay? So the majority of Canadians now have had their second shots, their second jabs and everything, okay, and they should be protected. So they were told. So we were told that these individuals are now protected against any kind of COVID or beer bug or whatever you want to call it. Okay. And nobody in my circle is denying the fact that this was real, that this wasn't real. What was denied is the stupidity that has gone in the name of protection. Okay. Now, their logic is this simple. Every authoritative figure in your life that has told you about this beer bug is more or less trying to tell you that, okay, 98% of Canadians don't poop their pants, but we're going to give you a diaper anyway, just in case. That's the way I look at this whole thing. Okay. That's the way I look at this whole freaking monstrosity of a policy of safety and of governance. Okay. And regardless of where you sit on the fence, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care if you're NDP, I don't care if you're liberal, I don't care if you're conservative, I don't care if you're Les Bloc, I don't care if you're independent, I don't care if you don't vote, whatever. Okay. We were lied to. We were lied to. Okay. Now, with the stuff I just mentioned, okay, those two news reports that I just mentioned that came from independent journalists, nothing mainstream, because it's funny the mainstream doesn't talk about it because they're so worried about Anna May Paul, being ousted by the Green Party. She gets elected by the Green Party, represent the Green Party. Now the Green Party wants to oust her because of this, because of that. And I did an episode on her too, how she pulled the race card out every time someone questioned her ability. Maybe she's not a nice person to work for or not a nice person to work with. Right. Then again, maybe the Green Party just can't decide whether it's coming or going, because I look at Green Party policies as borderline communist as far as I'm concerned. Any political party that keeps telling Canadians what to do with their money and where to spend it, to me, has no respect. I get no respect. Now, the Veterans Coalition Party, we want Canadians to keep their money. We want Canadians to thrive. Okay. Pay a flat tax and just carry on about your business to promote proper fairness and proper equality, regardless of color or creed or gender or spectrum or how you identify. Okay. That's simple. Yet we've forgotten that simplistic politic. We've forgotten that. We've allowed these morons to call the shots. So if a fourth wave comes up, knocking on our door, more policy regulations get up, more mask signs go up, more social distance signs go up, I think it's time to tear them down and stand high for what's right. Now, Corporal Statham, is that hateful for me to say? Am I being hateful, Corporal? Huh? Am I being spiteful, Stephen Gobert? Am I undermining democracy when I want people to choose for themselves? When I encourage people to think for themselves, to buy what they want, to sleep with who they want, as long as they're not hitting people taking their stuff? Shit simple, eh? But then what do I know? I'm just some crusty Canuck. Right? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for coming out to Fastball Sunday this past Sunday. And please stay tuned to more of the Fastball Sunday every Sunday, 4 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook, respectively, 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I say again, please, if you like and hear what you see, please click like, subscribe, and share this around and comment to all of your social media platforms. If anyone's out there who wants to get in touch with me, you can reach me at crustybcanuck67@gmail.com. Also, there's more contact information and links in the description on my Podbean page and my YouTube page and other pages that I use, i.e. Rumble, Brighteon, and Wimkin. So please reach out and touch me if you can. Reach out and touch me. Yeah, okay. It's my a terrible homage to Depeche Mode there. Needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, if you like and hear what you see, please send me some donations too. I like to make this a full-time commitment. Yes, I do have political ambitions, and I'd like to get into federal politics. That's why I'm running under the Veterans Coalition of Canada party banner. I'm going to represent the Crowfoot and Battle River riding too. So please keep that in mind. If you want any more information on the Veterans Coalition Party, just check out veteranscoalitionparty.ca and you get all the information there too. Or contact me and I'll send you links to the party's website. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask too. And my door is still open out there, ladies and gentlemen, to veterans and serving members. If any veterans or serving members have had issues with any kind of sexual misconduct or really bad harassment conduct, let me know. Okay, send me an email too at Crusty Canuck or crustybcanuck67@gmail.com. I'll do what I can to give you a hand, right? And I'll also leave a link to a hotline too. If anyone in the veteran circle is having a hard time coping, give that number a call and they'll direct you to some people who can help you out with your OSI or any other injuries for that matter too. I've used it myself. And because of that number, I've come a long way, ladies and gentlemen. So don't give up. We will find light in this manufactured darkness, ladies and gentlemen. We will find light, and it's up to us as individuals to make it happen, right? Regardless of what I just presented to you, my audience, my listeners and viewers alike, we have to stand our ground. It's that simple. Like I said in the fastball, I don't want to see violence come on the horizon. Nobody does. But I do believe that we're getting backed into a corner ever so slowly and carefully. And it's up to us to find the gaps and to stand high and to stand proud once again. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I have been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 20th of July, 2021. Look after your friends and loved ones and do what you can to help each other the best you can. Later today, I'm going to do some housework. It's a little overdue, just to make the wife happy. I just celebrated my anniversary with my wife, too. So 8 years her and I have been together, married. We've had our ups and downs, but I still look forward to seeing her every day. So that's a good thing. And I'm very, very proud of my wife and her accomplishments and what she stands for, regardless if we disagree or not in the political spectrum. She's still my number one. And she and my family and my friends and you, my beautiful audience out there, was fighting for. So get that in mind. Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, look after your friends and loved ones. Do what you can to find light in this manufactured darkness. And give a little extra if you can to people, i.e. effort, time, maybe a few bucks here and there. But do what you can to help each other out. Right? Like I say, humanity merit wins the day. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.